Well, last week we discussed the governing equations for plane stress and plane strain problems. The governing equations consist of three parts. The first part is relating the displacement with strains, that's kinematic equations. The second part is relating the strains and stress, that's constitutive equations. And the last is the equilibrium within the body. That's the equilibrium for its material points in the model, right? So now we are going to continue our discussions regarding plane stress. Now we are considering the boundary conditions. Okay, let me share my screen. The boundary conditions, generally there are two types. That's the displacement or stress. Okay, the displacement boundary condition also called essential boundary conditions, and stress called natural boundary conditions. Because our model are 2D models, our boundaries are just the edges of our body, can be a curve or straight line. Okay, so if displacement is easy, just directly specify the displacement along the boundary. That's displacement boundary conditions, okay, on gamma u or gamma v. Okay, now we are going to focus on the force boundary conditions. Force boundary conditions, the external force should be in equilibrium with the internal stress. So we are going to discuss about that now. So in general, distributed load or surface traction can act tangent. So this is the force on the body, okay, on the boundary. Now we can resolve into tangent direction and normal direction. Let's take a look for this example. Here we have 2D models. We don't know that whether this is plane strain or plane stress models because we don't have information along the z directions, but it's no problem because what we are going to focus here is the boundary conditions. So this is fixed along the left side or the left edge. Okay, we call that this is displacement boundary conditions because along this side we specify that the displacement in x directions u and in y direction v is equal 0 because we fix. So it means at every points here don't have displacement at all. Okay, so we said that this is gamma u and also gamma v. Okay, this is the boundary where we specify the displacement. Okay, the rest are stress boundary conditions. Okay, or even though in this side there is no stress, but we said that yes, there is no stress, it means the stress 0, right? Okay, let's take a look the top side of this body, at the top edge. Along this top, we see that the stress, if we have here a small square or small cube, okay, we see that the shearing stress here is 0, right? Because no shearing stress. And also, of course, there is no sigma x because we consider only this side, okay? But we see that the top side should be in equilibrium with the external force P. So we can write that along this top side, the internal and external forces equilibrium can be written as like this. The shearing stress is 0 along this top edge, and the stress in the y direction is equals to minus P. Minus because in the opposite directions to the coordinates. Okay, so we call this is gamma 1. Let's say this is called gamma 1. So gamma T1. This is gamma where we specify T, right? T is the traction boundary condition, but whether in X or Y direction, this is especially it should be in Y, okay? 1, okay? How about the right side here? No stress at all. So we say that this is the boundary conditions like this, okay? Homogeneous boundary condition along the right side. This is the sides where it's orthogonal to the coordinates, Cartesian coordinates. The problem is, how about if we have an oblique side like this? This is not orthogonal to the X or Y coordinates. Normally, we can specify side coordinates. So this is side coordinate N and S, okay? To specify the boundary condition on an oblique boundary like this. So we can say that the equilibrium along this side is the normal force 0, normal, but the normal according to these coordinates, NS coordinates, and tau NS equals 0 along this boundary 3. Okay, so we said that we have this is tau G. Maybe we can say this is dy, tx, okay, because we don't specify this is dy2. This is we can set that is gamma t n equals no. This is gamma where we specified the traction on this side. Okay, so we see that if we have small square here, there is no stress in this direction or in this direction, or shearing stress. So that's how we can write the force or natural boundary conditions. Okay, let's now consider the equilibrium on the boundary along an oblique boundary. Okay, let's that n, factor n, is the unit normal vector of the plane on which the surface traction, that's the surface traction, T, this is the components, Tx and Ty, is applied. So we have surface traction along this oblique boundary, let's say like that, okay, in this direction, okay. And then this traction applied on an area, let's say A, okay, the area of the inclined plane. Well, let's say the components of the unit normal vector is nx and ny with the angles alpha. If this angle alpha, according to the geometry, this also alpha. Okay, so the area of this one is A sinus alpha. Okay, so we call this is AY. This one, okay, AY. The area of this the below edge. This is the bottom edge. This is the left edge. The area is this one, AX, A cos alpha, or in other words, because this is NX and NY this is equals to cos alpha, and this is sinus alpha, we can write that AY is A and Y, this one. This AX is A and X, okay? So we can express the projected area. The projected area is this one. because this is the projection of the inclined plane to the horizontal and in horizontal and vertical directions, and this is the area. Okay, y and x. Well, let's consider the force equilibrium in x directions. This force sigma x times ax, okay, plus this force, the shearing force times ay, this one equals to the area times dx. But what is ax? A and x. What is ay? Is a and y. This is a. So we can cancel a to become like this. In similar manner, we can also analyze the equilibrium in y direction, and we have these equations. Okay, so writing them together, we have these equilibrium equations of the internal force and external action, internal stress and external traction force. Okay, well, as usual, we want to write this in matrix form. We can write like this, and x and y and x, and we collect them. We collect the stress components in one vector. So we can use this matrix or symbolically like this, where L is this one. Okay, L transpose sigma T. So this is the equilibrium of the equilibrium between the external surface traction and internal stress along the boundary. Okay, well, so that's complete set of governing equations for plane strain and plane stress. Let's now summarize our governing equation for plane strain and plane stress in matrix form. So we have strain displacement relations, where the matrix D is the matrix of differential operator. So if we know the displacement U and V, we may easily calculate the strain components epsilon x, epsilon y, and gamma xy. If we know the strain and also the material properties, we can calculate the stress using causative equations. If there is a pressure effect, we add with sigma T that the kind of initial stress due to the pressure effect. These equations depend on whether the model is plane stress or plane strain. That's the matrix E is different. And we have the equilibrium equations in matrix form like this. Differential operator the same. Differential operator like this operate on stress tensor, and this is the external body force equals 0. So all of this applicable in the body. Okay. On the boundary, we have displacement boundary conditions. We specify the displacement along whether gamma u or gamma v equals to a functions gxy. Okay, and we may have also stress or force boundary conditions like this. Okay, so this is the equilibrium on the boundary. This can be applied to gamma tx or gamma ty. Okay, it should be we should pay attention that gamma u and gamma tx cannot be overlapped. In other words, the intersection of the displacement boundary conditions and force boundary condition in the same direction, this is in x directions, cannot overlap. But the union of them all make the whole boundary. Okay. Similarly for y directions, gamma v and gamma ty cannot be overlapped. It means what? We cannot specify the boundary condition, displacement and traction on the same component on the same boundary. So we have to specify either v or ty, either u or tx. And gamma v and union gamma v and gamma ty make the whole boundary. Okay, so it's, in other words, let's complement each other, right? So this is another summary, but in the form of picture. We call this is Tonti diagrams. Okay, this is taken from Professor Carlos Felipa website. So the yellow one is the internal variables, the unknown variables, displacement, strain, stress, related by kinematic equations, quantitative equation, and equilibrium or balance equations. Okay, and then we need to complement the information. Okay, that's using boundary condition, traction boundary condition, and displacement boundary condition. This is also another information that body force. Okay, so this is the complete set of governing equations for our plane stress or plane strain model, written in matrix form. What's the problem? The problem is we can make a statement like this. Given the geometry omega and boundary gamma, so we have a specific problem, omega with specific omega and gamma. Given also the material properties, let's say the material is homogeneous and isotropic, so it can be described by modulus of elasticity E and Poisson ratio nu and coefficient of thermal expansion alpha, subjected to body force B in the body and Tx on gamma Tx, Ty on gamma Ty, so on its respective boundaries, and then also may subjected to temperature change P in omega. This is maybe a function of position, don't have to be constants. And then we specified the displacement Gx on gamma U and Gy on gamma V. The problem is fine. The solution consists of the solution to the problem. The primary variable is U, the displacement. Okay, displacement in omega bar. It means the body including the boundary. So this is cosset such that all the equations are satisfied. Okay, the equations. This is the equations, omega, displacement, and also the traction boundary conditions all satisfied. So this is called the strong form of the plane stress or plane strain problems. Because this is strong form because this equation should be satisfied for every material points in the body. Should be strongly satisfied. Okay, so this is because strong form. Of course, this is the partial differential equation that not easy to solve. In particular, for irregular geometry, is nearly impossible to solve. We have in the theory of elasticity books, classical theory of elasticity books, such as from Timošenko, like that, solutions to this problem. Okay, but only for simple geometry or simple loading, simple boundary conditions. In general, we cannot solve. So this is why we need finite element. Finite element is a numerical method to solve this problem. Okay. So again, the problem is to find displacement, because after finding the displacement, it's easy to compute strain and stress. Okay. The problem can be analytically solved for structures with simple geometry, simple loading pattern, and simple support conditions. For complex structures, in general, it's very difficult or even impossible to solve it analytically or exactly. So in practical applications today, the finite element is standard choice to solve this problem. Okay, so normally today we have plane stress or plane strain problems. We just go to our computer and then run finite element software, right? This becomes very practical because of the finite element method. Okay, let's consider an example of the plane stress or plane strain problems. This is plane stress problem. Cantilever beam. We imagine that this beam have a thickness not very thin, not very thick, I mean, just thickness, very like this. So this is a plane stress problem related to bending moment. This is the depth of the beam. This is the coordinates, global coordinate system. Okay. Let's say the displacement of the beam, displacement fit within the beam is given by this. Okay. This is I is the moment of inertia of the cross section. Mu here is equals to nu. I write down this equation from this journal. They use the symbol mu for Poisson ratio. Okay, that's mu is Poisson ratio. In my slides, it's called nu. Okay, given this displacement field, and then let's say, please calculate the strengths and stresses in the beam, assuming that the beam is plane stress condition in omega here. Okay, because this is omega, right? The inside the beam, excluding the boundary, and then check whether the stress field satisfy the equilibrium conditions. Second question. The third question is specify the displacement stress boundary conditions, and then write the strong form statement of the beam, calculate the strain energy. We not yet discuss the concept of strain energy, so I will postpone the discussion of this later after we discuss the concept of strain energy. Okay, let's answer the question one by one. So the problem is given the displacement field u and v. U equals m over ei xy, whereas v equals minus nu. I use nu here instead of nu to agree with my notation in my slide. Nu m over 2ei y square minus m over 2ei x square. Okay, the first question is to calculate the strains and stress. We know that this is plane stress problems. So in plane stress problem, we have three stress components. That's epsilon x, epsilon y, and gamma xy. Epsilon x is given by the partial of u with respect to x, but what is u in this problem? U is this one, right? So just I write this. Since m over ei constants, the result is m over ei y. And then epsilon y is the partial of derivative of v respect to y. So I just plug in v in here and then calculate the partial derivatives with respect to y. This one, of course, only there is no y, so only this has contribution to epsilon y. So the result is minus nu m over 2i to y, or I can write minus m over ei nu y because we can cancel this one, right? And then the shearing strain gamma xy is the partial of x of u, partial derivative of respect to x of v, this is v, and then partial derivative of u respect to y. And then the result of this one, this is x, so there is no contribution from the first term, only the second term, this one. And then from the first derivative of this one, the result is m over ei x, right? And then the result is 0. So that's all for strain components that we need to calculate to proceed to calculating the stress. How to calculate the stress or stress components? Well, the stress components in plane stress consist of sigma x, sigma y, tau xy. The relationship is given by this matrix, right? So we can calculate sigma x, just write like this: E over 1 minus nu square times This is epsilon x, this is epsilon x, and then plus new epsilon y. So this is new epsilon y. Okay, and then we can take out the factor of m over ei from the brackets, and then we can take out the factor of y, and then we have this one. So we see that this is we can cancel. This is 1 minus nu square, this is 1 minus nu square, can cancel. So the result is this one. Please notice that this is exactly we expect, because this is pure bending, right? Bending in pure, beam in pure bending. We know that from the classical beam theory, the stress, the normal stress, I'm sorry, the normal stress in x direction also given by this formula. So this is in agreement with the classical beam theory. For sigma y, we can calculate from the stress strain relations. So this is nu epsilon x plus epsilon y. So this is E over 1 minus nu square. Nu, this is epsilon x plus epsilon y, but epsilon y is this one, right? So the result is, sorry, this is, I missed this one, okay? Then the result is 0. And then also, lastly, we can see from the matrix that for shearing stress, tau xy, is related to shearing strain by this one. Actually, this one is, we know that this is shear modulus, right? So it's 0. So the only non-zero stress is sigma x, and this is in agreement with the classical beam theory for calculating the stress. Well, let's now proceed to the second question in the slide. The second question is check whether the stress fields satisfy the equilibrium conditions or equilibrium equations. Well, we know from the theory that this is the equilibrium equation in x direction, and this one is the equilibrium equation in y direction. It's trivial to calculate this because all are 0, right? Here we can see that the stress 0, all 0 except sigma x, and sigma x only function of y. So of course the partial with respect to x is 0, and other stress and body force 0. So this is trivial. It means that we can easily show that the equilibrium equations, this equilibrium equation are satisfied, okay, by the results. Well, question number 3. Specify the displacement and stress boundary condition. From the picture, we can see that the displacement boundary condition is given on the left edge. The rest of the boundaries are in the category of force boundary conditions or stress boundary conditions. So here we go. Along the left side, we can say that U, the displacement in x direction should be 0 y because it's roller. So every material point here cannot move in x direction, except also in the middle point. That's hints. It means that not only U, but also V is 0 at the center of the coordinates, at the origin of the coordinates. Oh, right? That's on the left side. On the right side, this moment in the plane stress model, we should apply as surface traction. Surface traction that follows the formula from the beam. That's my over I. So we can say that on the right side, the internal stress is equal to the traction, whereas the traction is this one. So this is the traction, surface traction, right? So this is dx along the right edge, along here. That's equivalent to bending moment, okay? There is no shearing stress because we see that this is only bending moment. There is no shearing stress, so we can say that there is stress along the right edge, or this one is the right S is 0, the shear stress. How about along the bottom and top edges? That's trivial because sigma y and tau yx all are 0, right, along the top and bottom edges. So this is the answer to number 3. Well, number 4 is also trivial because the strong form, of course, just like what I have discussed in the previously. So we can see directly in the previous slide.